Board of Trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District is called to order at 7 p.m. This is the regular monthly board meeting being held on April the 13th of 2021. We have a quorum with all members present. Please join me in a moment of silence to observe as you feel appropriate. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to be Texas. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Right. Dr. Randall, are there any recognitions this evening?
Madam President, we do not have any recognitions.
Okay. Are there any introductions?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, we have one introduction.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to the new associate principal at Lamar Consolidated High School, Sierra King. Sierra is a December 2009 graduate of Sam Houston State University with a bachelor's degree in journalism. She received a master's degree in 2011 in curriculum and instruction, also from Sam Houston State University. She has 10 years of experience in education and was most recently serving as an assistant principal on the campus. Congratulations.
Those are all the introductions, Madam President.
All right. So next we need to approve the minutes for the March 8th, 2021 special meeting, March 9th, 2021 special meeting, March 23rd, 2021 special meeting workshop, March 25th, 2021 regular board meeting, March 29th, 2021 special meeting, and March 30th, 2021 special meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Ms. Danziger.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Ms. Kaminsky seconds. Or is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, none opposed, motion carries. Are there any board member reports?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. We actually did not have a facilities meeting because we've been very busy after the last board meeting, but I can give you some updates. The Bond 2014 Ag Barn number 3, the land is purchased off of Powerline Road, and VLK Architects has started the design process. Bond 2017 Jane Long Historical Gym renovations. Interior finishes are in progress, scheduled to be complete and operational June 2021. Dr. Thomas E. Randall High School and Harry Wright Junior High School, construction is 96% complete. FM 2977 and Copeland Road traffic signal is installed and should be operational in 2 weeks. Projects on schedule for schools to open in August of 2021. Multi-purpose space, high school and orchestra middle school additions. Construction of all 7 additions are on schedule to be open by start of school fall 2021. Fletcher Morgan Junior Elementary School, foundation is complete. Steel erection is close to complete, on schedule for November 15th, 2021, substantial completion. Maxine Phelan Elementary School, general contractor recommendation is on the April board agenda. And for Bond 2020, we have done all the interviews and the construction manager agent request for qualifications. Out of the 6 qualified submissions, 3 were identified to be interviewed, and 1 company is being recommended to provide Bond 2020 project management services on the April bond agenda. And our architect request for qualifications, out of the 19 very qualified submissions, 7 firms were identified to be interviewed, and a list of 5 architectural firms are being recommended to provide possible Bond 2020 architectural services on the April board agenda. So you can see that it's going to be a very busy summer. And I'm sure many of our other board members are going to talk about the amazing and wonderful celebration we had yesterday for Dr. Randall. And thank you to Mike Rockwood and all the people involved. You made us proud. I know you made his family proud, and he deserved every minute of it. And I was glad to be there. Thank you.
So, Technology Committee met this afternoon. There was several different items, but I'll touch on a few that are actually on this board agenda for tonight. The interactive flat panel project for the whiteboards and projectors. The replacement of the whiteboards and projectors is coming to an end. There's an item on the agenda tonight for the Hutchinson, McNeil, Pink, Thomas, Navarro, Lehman, and Fulsher are all scheduled for this summer. The district mileage app is being created to correct the problem of employees having to manually figure the district mileage when driving through the district in order to be compensated. Wireless upgrades due to the increase in wireless devices and the future mandate of online testing. The wireless networks at our facilities need to be upgraded. This includes access points and cabling. That is on the agenda for tonight. Data center switches being added. That is on the agenda for tonight as well. Data center connection. District has a single data path between Rosenberg and Fulsher data centers. This results in extensive traffic on the single path and potential outages if the connection is compromised. So adding an additional path between those locations, which is also an item that is on the board agenda for tonight.
Any other reports? Well, again, to echo what Ms. Danziger said, it was a wonderful evening last night, and so we want to thank Dr. Rockwood and Ms. Johnson, Ms. Sanders, Lindy Sanders, and Justin Terry, and all of the Community Relations Department. It was a wonderful evening, so thank y'all for everything. So, all right, Dr. Randall,
Well,
Superintendent reports.
You all have said everything that I was going to say.
Sorry.
We're on the same
But I
page.
said from the standpoint of the person receiving it, I too want to thank the staff and the board for a memorable evening. My family was so excited, and we had a number of them who, because of the limitations and the number of folks that could be there, they watched it. And so they texted, and they were really, really just blown away with the event. So thank you all very much. It is much appreciated.
Right. So at this time, we'll establish a consent agenda. The board creates a consent agenda, which are items the board members feel there is no need for further discussion. So we will start with,
And I should remind everyone that we're not having a workshop this month to ask the questions, so this is the time to ask questions and not to
yes,
vote.
yes,
With one meeting.
yes. Thank you, John, Mr. Welch. So let's see, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2,
I'll pull that.
B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B8,
I'll pull that too, please.
B9, B10, B11, B12, B13, B14, B15, B16, B17, B18, C1, I'm going to pull that, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. I think that's it, yes? All right, so the consent agenda will be A1, A2, A3, B1, B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B9, B10, B11, B12, B13, B14, B15, B16, B17, B18, D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5.
Madam President, I'm sorry, I missed D2.
You missed
Uh,
D2.
9D2. Can we pull that one?
Yes. Karen, you're good? Okay. Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make it.
Trustee Welch makes a motion. Second,
Second.
Mr. Hubenak seconds. All in favor, or, let's see, any discussion on the consent? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed, motion carries. All right. So first, we're going to start with the resolutions. So, starting on page 69. So I have asked Trustee Welch, who initiated this lifetime ambassadorship and was also fully supported by the rest of the board, to read this resolution.
Whereas the Lamar CISD Board of Trustees wishes to create the Lamar CISD Lifetime Ambassador Program for the purpose of designating former district leaders who have provided extraordinary service to the district to serve as community ambassadors for the district. Whereas this program honors individuals who have dedicated their time and resources to serving the students and staff of Lamar CISD and who make a positive impact on public education. Whereas the board finds a public purpose in encouraging the continued voluntary involvement of designated ambassadors in the district community, including through attendance at district events. Whereas the board intends to provide designated ambassadors with a lifetime of free admission to all district cultural events such as plays, musicals, and concerts, as well as athletic events hosted in the district. Whereas eligible ambassadors include former superintendents, trustees, and others who the board determines have provided extraordinary service to the district and are well suited to represent the district as ambassadors. Whereas Dr. Thomas E. Randall has successfully led Lamar CISD as superintendent for 20 years, and the Board of Trustees appreciates his valued service to our staff and students. And whereas Dr. Randall is known throughout the state as an exemplary leader and an advocate of public education. Whereas the board recognizes Dr. Randall's extraordinary contributions to the district and the value he can provide through service as an ambassador for the district, desires to designate Dr. Randall as the district's first Lamar CISD Lifetime Ambassador. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Lamar Consolidated ISD Board designate Dr. Thomas E. Randall as the district's first Lamar CISD Lifetime Ambassador, allowing for free lifetime admission to all Lamar CISD cultural and athletic events. Adopted this day, April 13th, 2021.
We have something for you, Dr. Randall.
Don't lose it.
Oh, they're real.
Yeah, it's the real deal.
All right.
Take a picture.
And while everyone is coming out front, I want to say thank you. I can assure you that I'll be in the stands watching our kids perform. We've got some of the greatest youngsters anywhere. and I know that they will continue to really make everyone proud. So thank you to the board. This is really, really something special, and I really do appreciate it.
Oh, we gotta have, there we go. Make me nervous.
One more. Miss Kay's she's gonna get all this for everybody.
Oh, got it. Send it to the rest. Wait.
All right, hang on. All right, on count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Nice. Okay, so the next resolution, I believe, is Mr. Hunt.
Where public schools, paraprofessionals are valuable members of educational teams in classrooms, gymnasiums, libraries, with special education students and more, and whereas public school paraprofessionals contribute in many ways beyond their most recognizable functions, and whereas the assistance of public school paraprofessionals is particularly important in the daily activities and operations of a school district, and whereas public school paraprofessionals serve our educational community by providing support for students and staff, and whereas public school paraprofessionals assist school and district personnel as trusted communicators with parents and community members, and whereas the connection of public school paraprofessionals to the community aids in communication and positive public relations within the community, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declares May 12th, 2021 as Public School Paraprofessionals Day and encourages all members of our staff and community to express appreciation to our public school paraprofessionals.
Whereas school nurses play a critical role in the education process through involvement in the prevention of illness and early detection and correction of health problems, and whereas school nurses must specifically prepare and qualified to practice preventive health measures, assess health conditions, and handle referrals, and whereas school nurses serve the multiple roles of health educator, health counselor to children and families, resource person to classroom teachers and administrators, child advocate in times of crisis, and liaison among home, school, and community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declares the week of May 6th through 12th, 2021 as School Nurses Week, and encourages all members of our staff and community to express appreciation to our school nurses, adopted this 13th day of April 2021.
Thank you.
Whereas today's teachers mold our future citizens through their guidance and education, and whereas today's teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds and abilities, and whereas our society expects public education to provide quality education services to all children, no matter what their background or ability, and whereas our country's future depends on the education our youth receive today, and whereas teachers spend countless hours outside their classrooms preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling, and coaching students, and performing community service, and whereas our community recognizes that its teachers are providing quality educational services to our children. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declares the week of May 3rd through the 7th, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and calls on the community to join with us in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for a job well done, adopted this 13th day of April 2021.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you. Okay, so for the items not on the consent agenda, may I have a motion to approve?
Which one?
Sorry.
You just need a motion
Just a
for,
motion, sorry,
for,
to discuss.
budget
Discussion.
amendments.
The budget amendments?
Yes, you.
9B2.
B2. B2.
Right, yes, that one, yes, yes.
And I'll second it. Now we can discuss.
Mr. Welch?
Yeah,
you-
I just had a question or two about it. So we're gonna purchase 2 more temporary buildings. And then it says that we are gonna, Winter Storm Uri cost the district $560,000. I'm just curious, are the buildings and those funds coming out of the general budget?
This is actually to establish budgets for that. So what we're doing is increasing the general fund budget by this amount. So we expect that we'll have savings in this year's budget, which will offset some of this, but this could result in drawing down some of fund balance.
Have you heard anything from maybe the state of Texas or the U.S. government of refunds for some of that cost?
There are still programs being developed, and we're still filing applications, but as with some of the other CARES Act money and things like that, it just takes time, and it could be that it splits fiscal years too. It could be that we receive funding back from FEMA and other organizations after the end of this fiscal year, but we are definitely actively seeking reimbursements.
Thank you.
Was that $560,000? That was just for the HVAC systems? That's damage to just the HVAC system?
It's actually two pieces. There's $210,000 in the HVAC repairs, and then $350,000 in the coil repairs. Those estimates were given to us by maintenance and operations after their review.
So are those repairs that still need to be made, or they've already been made?
Yes, no, they're still to be made. Chris might have a little bit more detail, but it's my understanding that they're about to do that. They just made the assessment on all the various campuses.
So, I mean, are the HVAC systems not working properly now, or is it just something that needs?
HVAC systems are operating at the campuses and facilities. There were 2 separate issues. One was during the freeze and immediately after. We had damage when we restarted the systems because of loss of power, where those copper coils had failed due to the freeze. There's also other related damage that has been identified since then that we need to go back and take care of to maintain those.
Okay, thank you.
The freeze is hard on our HVAC systems. It was tough.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay. None opposed, motion carries. Okay, next item is B8, page 62.
And we ask that the Board of Trustees approve Curriculum Associates to provide a web-based universal screener progress monitoring tool for reading and mathematics for all students district-wide at a first-year cost of $242,316.
Mr. Lopes, did you pull this one?
Yes.
Make a motion.
Do I?
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I may have a motion.
I'll make a
to discuss.
motion.
Thank you. Ms. Danziger,
Second.
Mr. Hunt, second.
Now discussion.
Discussion and questions tonight.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We can do it all.
Whatever you want to do then.
You go.
Right. I understand the words on the page. I can read English. I don't understand exactly how this assesses and interacts with Skyward. So that's why I was just wanting some. And how are those subjects currently being assessed?
So we're currently using Curriculum and Associates.
Oh, we are
Uh-huh.
currently.
Our contract was just a one-year contract. So we went out to look at all of the different options that were available and the committee determined that Curriculum and Associates was the one to continue with. So this assessment is given at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. And so students start with a baseline, and then it's an adaptive assessment. So as they get questions right, they move up in expectation. And as they get questions wrong, it tries to identify the gaps that they may have in content and curriculum for math and reading.
So this is something that functions automatically in the background, it sounds like.
Right, so a student would sit yes, it's all computer adaptive. So a student sits for the assessment, should take them between 30 minutes and 45 minutes. And the assessment for me might look different than for you, and then for Ms. Danziger, based on how we answer those first few questions.
Is this, trying to think. So the teachers of these subjects, this is how they are assessing their students' proficiency? Would you say that? Or?
It's one piece of data, and the intention for the beginning of the year, again, universal screener is a baseline starting point for every child. It's one assessment, part of a big assessment suite. So they're going to take this data and they're going to say, I'm going to sit down with this student as part of this small group. I may decide that is where they are, or I may decide the computer missed the boat and I need to go back and fill in a gap, or I need to push them forward more quickly. So it's a starting point.
And so, because I would assume, because there's so many students that a teacher is responsible for, this is the best way to evaluate where they're at. Would you say that's accurate?
Part of it is that. Part of it is just the ability for a system like this to provide reliable and valid data checkpoints that are just beyond a teacher's capacity.
Really have any further questions?
I have a question. We used to use, for reading assessments, we used to use DRA, right? And then we replaced that with?
GRA.
GRA.
Uh-huh.
How is this different than GRA?
So there are different components of the assessment. So this assessment measures dyslexia screening type pieces, phonics, word fluency, all the different components of a balanced reading program. GRA is doing the same sort of thing, but it's more of a oral fluency and oral reading assessment. Still has different components, and again, a different data source. Mm-hmm. You miss the oral language, the fluency, when you're testing on the computer.
Okay.
You don't get those pieces.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Thank you.
And opposed, motion carries. Next is item C1. I have a motion. Can you make a motion?
I'll make it.
Yes, okay. Trustee Welch, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Let him.
Aye.
Trustee Huben.
There you go.
Discussion, I had a question about this one, so just kind of a clarification. So generally, we would delegate, or do you need it?
Well, I can. Okay. The motion is that the trustees are delegate final authority to the superintendent to employ contractual employees for the 21-22 school year during the months of May, June, July, and August. And if you remember, the board does that so that we're able to do a quick turnaround once we've identified a candidate for the position. And you also remember that we notify you all so that you know exactly who the candidate is before finalizing that. And so that's what this item does. It really, otherwise you have to either have special board meetings or you have to wait 30 days and we lose candidates. We certainly did prior to the board doing this.
So I pulled this, I just wanted to kind of, in an open discussion, to ask how this will be managed this year with our loan finalists coming in, the timing of it all.
The loan finalists, well, I guess as soon as you all do the contract and everything, whatever that is.
Yes.
But this starts in May. And so if we have positions that we are working through the process and interviewing, the goal would be to engage the loan final, well, Dr. Nivens. I don't know why I keep saying
I said it,
Dr. Nivens, in those final interviews, so
Okay.
that he will have input in them.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I was wondering that myself, but.
I figured, yeah, just kind of get it out there, yeah. Okay.
The changing of the guard.
Yes. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
All right, none opposed, motion carries. Next is item D2. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Stanziger makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Hunt seconds. Open for discussion.
So I had some questions on this one, and I just wanted to see if you could just explain what this is and why we need it.
So our need for wireless networking has increased, not just because a lot of it's because of the amount of technology, whether students bring their own devices, whether it's our laptops, iPads, whatever it is. And so the demand has outgrown the devices which are over 5 years old now. The last time we did an upgrade was in the 2014 bond, and it was done in 2016. So what this does, and the other big need for this is preparing us for the mandate of online testing beginning in the school year 2023-24. So it also prepares us for that. Right now, our access points, which we have in every classroom, can handle approximately 20 to 25 devices at a time. And if you're trying to, a class of 30 students, and a lot of people have multiple devices, and even if a student has their phone in their backpack, it's still pinging our wireless access points trying to get a connection. And so it's inundating our wireless network, and we, as much as we ask teachers to remind the students to ask the kids to turn off those devices, put them in airplane mode, or at least turn off the Wi-Fi so that their calling can still work. It's still, that doesn't happen all the time. So we've outgrown, our demand has outgrown what we currently have, and that's only going to continue to grow as the demand increases, as our students increase and everything else. And then, of course, for the wireless, for the mandate of online testing.
Okay. One question that I had was that some of the schools in here that it looks like are getting upgraded just opened, and so I assume they just had technology installed, like Tamaron Elementary. It's its first year, so
Right.
Is all of that hardware going to be replaced, all the wireless access points in that new school?
No. So campuses built and David can probably answer better on Tamaron, but all the new schools are being built with our new standard. There's two components to this. One is upgrading access points that no longer meet our standard, and also they're adding access points to areas like libraries, cafeterias, gyms, so that we can accommodate testing. The brand newest campus, Tamaron, for example.
Tamaron specifically is only getting a cabling upgrade. So they are going from a Cat 6A cable to a Cat 6A cable, and that allows that campus to take full advantage of the new equipment that has been installed. That just was not taken care of during construction because Tamaron was built right as we were making that transition. So they're only actually getting new cables. The new hardware they have is correct, they just need the cable piece.
And so the new schools that are being instructed, like Raynal High School, Wright Junior High, they don't
Correct.
need to have any upgrades?
They're already at our standard.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The board received an addendum where we had a word change. The D hardware was added in place of these cabinets, and
In the beginning sentence, Dr. Randall, in the board book, I accidentally left in the word secondary. In that first sentence, our project upgrades all secondary complexes. The addendum removes that word secondary. That was accidentally left in from a previous agenda item.
discussion? Okay, so hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed, motion carries. So that completes the action items. So under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 7 training areas for board member continuing education: local district orientation, orientation to the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Local district orientation. No new board members were required to complete local district orientation training for the time period covered by this announcement. Orientation to the Texas Education Code. No new board members were required to complete the orientation to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Post-legislative updated to the Texas Education Code. No board members were required to complete post-legislative updated to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Team building. All board members are deficient in meeting the required annual team building training. COVID challenges and scheduling impacted board members' ability to complete team building training. Additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements: Manny Brunzell, Kay Danziger, Alex Hunt, Catherine Kaminsky, John Welch, and Joy Williams. The following board member has scheduled training to complete the additional continuing education requirements: Joe Hubenak. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. The following board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: Mandy Brunzell, Kay Danziger, Joe Hubenak, Alex Hunt, Catherine Kaminsky, John Welch, and Joy Williams. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: Mandy Brunzell, Kay Danziger, Alex Hunt, Catherine Kaminsky, John Welch, and Joy Williams. The following board member has scheduled training to timely complete the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: Joe Hubenak. Exceeding required continuing education. Board member Mandy Brunzell exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 2 additional hours. Board member Kay Danziger exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 22.75 additional hours. Board member Alex Hunt exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 4.5 additional hours. Board member Catherine Kaminsky exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 0.75 additional hours. Board member John Welch exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 9.5 additional hours. All right. Take a breath. Do we have any questions on any of the other information items?
Or any other information? Okay. I just had 2 questions for the early learning pathway.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
Giving some of the report. This has been kind of my little pet for the last few years on the CDA credentialing. And as I know with COVID, the numbers dropped drastically. But in education, it was 612 students last year. Is that correct?
Yes.
This year, 452.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I to assume that was due to the COVID? Or-
It's not finalized for next year because we still are finalizing schedules, but it has dropped a little bit due to COVID, yes.
Okay. How do you have a way of contacting the local businesses as far as the co-op programs? How do y'all go about in the community and find out what kind of jobs are available for these students?
Well, ma'am, we have a couple different advisory committees that we invite local businesses to that also give us an idea of what is available to students out in the community. Also, our director of CTE, Dr. Casey Lazar, has worked with many of the city boards to determine what is out there in connections to local businesses. So we are putting feelers out all the time. We're trying to determine what is available for our students, whether that's in the early learning pathway or in other areas.
Do you ever send out flyers or anything asking local businesses, do they have a need or what they would like to see?
Not a flyer per se, but through our advisory committee, we do send out information items to gather that information, but I can put that in our notes.
Okay. And since I'm going to be leaving the school board, I'd like to volunteer for one of those advisory committees.
Yes, ma'am. We'd be happy to have you.
Can't get rid of her.
Please call me.
Yes, ma'am.
I just, and I can make a comment, right, this time? I just saw, I don't know if it was on TV, I think Mr. Hubenek saw it too, the students at a graduation where the top 10 were acknowledged, the scholarships were acknowledged. It was something unique in that they actually announced or recognized students that actually graduated, were not going to college, but had gotten a job. And I thought that was kind of a unique thing to get the students more involved in. You're coming out of school, but be proud that you actually are going to work. Not everyone can make it to college, but you sure can work to be able to get the opportunity to go to college. So I just wanted to bring that out because I thought that was a different idea. We haven't thought about that. Let's see. The last comment, basically, I think I just had here was I would like to see those numbers increase, and I know y'all can do it.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you have any?
The second one?
Second.
I know our contract with EOS is going to be brought up next year. So I brought this up basically for acknowledging that we had asked, I think, administration to think about taking over at the end of next year. And I wanted to bring it up now as a discussion, or are y'all aware of this? My concern is we're spending a lot of money every year with this particular company, and it sounds like it would be a continuous. We have a program that the administration, they're taking over the program, and we asked, how far are you from actually doing it in-house? And I think last year we kind of put them on that in 2 years, we'd like to know where you're at. So when I was reading this, I have a question. Are we on target for taking over this particular program for next year?
So, ma'am, as you mentioned in the June board meeting of 2020, you guys kind of had us talk about what that would look like for taking over EOS. And as of right now, you can see that we have many things completed, and we feel that it could be a good timeline of, as the contract ends next summer, being able to take that over.
Now, I'm gonna say this, anytime that you start putting a hard deadline on something, and a lot of things can come up along the way, and I don't want the staff to get caught in something because we've said it has to be done by X date. They are working really, really hard to make sure that we transition in that direction, and I can assure you that they're doing that. But because Dr. Maxwell is being very good by saying by next summer, and there are some of you that will remember that. And if it doesn't occur by next summer, and there's a really logical reason as to why, that we may need to extend that for a little bit longer, I would hope that the board would know that they're working toward that. It should be a smooth transition. It has been positive as far as identifying kids, and that's my 2 cents.
I wasn't asking for a specific date. I hope that I didn't refer that way. I just wanted to remind, because so many times we start these projects for 2 or 3 years, and there's so many other things that come up, and the board may not have thought about it until it came time to renew a contract. So I just kind of, I guess, wanted to let everybody know this is coming up next year, and that y'all are working diligently to eventually take it in-house. Okay.
May I ask a question? As with COVID, did this lower some of our numbers this year, or were they able to keep on track, or are we going to have to work to get them back up next year?
From our data, actually, this current school year, we saw a decrease in some of our advanced placement courses. We weren't able to do the outreaches that we wanted to because of COVID and not being able to bring groups of students in. What we're seeing with our data for 21-22 is all rising of those numbers. And so we've been working really hard with our campuses to ensure that those numbers are coming back up.
Okay, thank you.
Have you done any analysis or been able to determine whether it would be less expensive to do it in-house versus continuing with equal opportunity schools? Because for me, that would be an important measure. I mean, if they can do it more accurately, they can do it more effectively, and it would be less expensive, then I would say I'd be more inclined to say continue with them.
I believe back in the June 2020 board meeting, there was a cost analysis, not of what it would take from a standpoint of looking at what it would take to take over, but we can kind of put some of those numbers together again.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam President, we do have a District Improvement Plan quarterly update.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We have our April update of the District Improvement Plan. We do like to give the board an update every quarter about the progress. I will pause 1 second for our presentation to occur.
I see it on the screen.
That's one of those cables we're in.
Shop faster.
Might have to give us your laptop, David.
There it is.
Okay, we're all set.
There.
Okay, so as a reminder, our district improvement plan is part of our planning and our goal setting system. We have our 5-year strategic plan, and we have aligned our annual superintendent goals, and then we use this district improvement plan to have strategies to bring those SMART goals and our strategic plan to life annually. District improvement plans are required by law, so every single school district in Texas has a district improvement plan. These are living documents. We can make some adjustments as we move towards those goals. And again, they do align to our 5-year strategic plan. I think it's important to always go back and discuss that 5-year strategic plan. It has 5 priorities. Those are to evolve the student learning experience, to equip our students with the knowledge and skills to succeed in a changing world, to promote a safe and a healthy environment, to plan for rapid growth while preserving our district culture, and to focus on talent. Again, this is a high-level overview. If you want to review the full district improvement plan, it is online on our website under the Research, Assessment, and Accountability page. And it has all the different activities and strategies that we're utilizing to achieve our goals this year. And first up for Strategic Priority 1, I will introduce Dr. Mosich.
Good evening. Strategic Priority 1 states ensuring access to engaging, rigorous, real-world learning opportunities and up-to-date technology. But let me give you this real quick. Again, our focus on this in the SMART goal is cultivating expertise in teaching and learning as a means for improving student achievement through high-quality professional development. Of special note, I want to go into the instructional coaching training that we have done in the fall semester and in the spring semester. We trained in the second semester secondary instructional coaches and facilitators and administrators participating with Gym Night coaching cycle on instructional coaching so that we can work on the instructional strategies that are happening at the Tier 1 level. In the elementary level, that training has also occurred, and so we have a full group of people that are currently working with our teachers to help support quality instructional strategies within the classroom, and that work will continue. When we look at digital learning, COVID, again, has taught us a lot about digital learning, but we're still learning. And when we look at the digital learning, we've already had in this quarter 229 staff members participating in Nearpod assessment reporting, Nearpod in action, student engagement tools, and collaboration tools. And so we've had a lot of activity with our teachers in learning, and we're seeing, as far as Nearpod, some increase in use as we have cycled through this third quarter. Now, what we're most excited about is looking at our professional development opportunities as we have looked at throughout the 2021 school year. As you can see highlighted, I provided you the fall numbers in fall of 2020, but in the spring currently we have 577 classes that are offered. We have 12,618 who have participated at this time, and then we have a total of hours earned of 18,334. And then last week, we released our staff development opportunities for the summer to all of our teachers and staff. At this point, we are offering 387 offerings, professional development opportunities, and in a week, or a little less than a week, we already have 3,180 teachers and staff that are registered. Our total hours will be determined at the end of that summer session. When you look at the second goal, we're looking at equipping all parents and guardians with the tools to support learning and growth. Our focus here with the implementation of full-day pre-K was to increase our parent engagement opportunities in Project Learn, pre-K and EL family engagement, and Summer Connect by 10%. As we look at our figures currently right now and through our community partner opportunities with all of our parents in our pre-K classes, we have 416 participants in this quarter. We have 232 that are participating through our Project Learn. And then we have in our early childhood events and Winter Festival 200, which is a total of 848 at this time. When we look at the next objective, we look at expanding available resources to provide learning that is personalized to each student's interests and abilities in order to eliminate gaps in achievement. When you look at this particular SMART goal, we're looking at highly effective professional learning communities being used as the vehicle to examine school, classroom, and individual student progress. Our result in that, in what our goal was a 5% decrease in special education failures at the elementary and the secondary level. When you look at some of the activities that we have had thus far, when we begin to look at the universal screener and the results from the universal screener, and that the number of tiered students in Tier 2, which is the second tier in the MTSS program, currently we have 2,132 students that are receiving Tier 2 building skilled intervention. Across the district right now, we have 913 Tier 3 intensive intervention supports across campuses. We're continuing to provide support to our student support teams at the campus level, as you will see through collaborative team processes, intervention practices, Success Ed data implementation, as well as on-site trainings and monthly Power Hour Zoom sessions. When we look at the special ed department, have provided 2 specific trainings to our assistant principals that were delivered back at our campus to help support this goal at our campus level, addressing the needs of borderline or low functioning students, and special education program monitoring, specifically how to use your checklist, monitoring checklist for critical elements. So when we look at that, that happened this semester with elementary as well as with the secondary assistant principals. We're most proud of is that when we look at this quarter right now, when we compare it to last year, we're at a 59. We have had a decrease in failures across the district for special ed at 59.52%. Segueing into our second strategic goal, equipping students with knowledge and skills to succeed in a changing world. This particular goal objective is ensuring LCISD graduates have effective critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills in order to be successful in professional and personal relationships. The focus on here is, again, professional development of high yield teaching strategies, and our focus here has to do with close observation and analysis, evidence-based writing, higher order questioning, and academic conversations at the Tier 1 level. When you begin to look, you can see all the identified trainings. This is not a whole catalog of the trainings that we've had in these particular areas, but when you look at close observation and higher level, and evidence-based writing, you can see STAR reading and writing training, study for writing, portfolio training, electronic writing portfolio training, and some of the uses of our social studies weekly training. We look at higher order questioning, lead forward, think along planning has been done to begin to look at planning for higher level questioning within the classrooms, and then virtual sheltered instruction coaching cycle with our teachers as well. And lastly, academic conversations. When we look at the academic conversations, particularly at the elementary level, you'll see number talks, number sense learning progression, again, referring back to the think forward, think along plan, training plan, as well as some of our plethora of sheltered instruction training. When we look at 2.2, we are ensuring the curriculum equitably prepares students to achieve their preferred career aspirations by enhancing both rigorous career and technical CTE and college preparatory programs. Again, we are looking at cultivating expertise in teaching and learning. And as we focus on teaching and learning, we are asking, or we're looking for a 5% increase in the number of students receiving college credit and dual enrollment programs, a 5% increase in AP Scholar Awards and NMSQT honors and CT industry certifications. When you look at some of the work that has been done here, we had instructional walks completed in multiple CTE and AP and GT classrooms by March 12th of 2012. April 14th, we have a series of teachers, both at the AP, GT, and CTE levels, that are being recorded for their quality instructional strategies that are going to be shared with others. Our CT teachers had professional development delivered to them about PLCs and working together regarding the 4 questions. And this work is going to continue this summer. And then advanced placement PLCs took place in January, and future trainings will also occur in May. As we look at AP exams that are going to be delivered, these are positive signs. We have at Foster High School 1,308, which is an increase from the 908 that were delivered last year. We look at Fulshire High School, we have currently right now 1,254, an increase from the 703 last year. Now, COVID did have an impact last year on those numbers. 1,713 at Georgia Ranch High School, which is an increase from 1,657 in the previous year. And at Lamar, 995 from the 901 that were the previous year, with 951 at Terry High School, which is an increase from the 790 last year. As we look at this next SMART goal, we're increasing students, families, and community members' awareness of and access to all available academic programs. Our focus here had to do with the School Links program, and we wanted to seek a 10% increase in parent and guardian training on this as we compared it with Naviance. When we look at what we have done this past school year, or this past quarter, monthly meetings continue with our CCFs, having included School Links PD and will continue through the remainder of the school year. They have also worked with students individually and by class to complete student onboarding and grade level tasks in the School Links. And what we're also most proud of is that 98% of all of our parents and guardians have captured that account. So that is a good sign for us. And then as we look at what I shared with you in the fall, we had 106 additional parents that attended the training as we compared from the Naviance program training from the previous school year. Moving on to strategic priority 3, promoting a safe and healthy environment. When we look at objective 3.1, increasing the mental and emotional health supports and resources to improve social and emotional well-being among students and staff. Our focus here was to ensure that we provided 2 trainings to assistant principals on our solution-focused techniques, both particularly in the fall semester and then in the second semester, and then also to our teachers and staff in the fall semester and the second semester. We are well on our way as you look at the second piece, that we have continued that training and taken place in the January and February meetings for assistant principals and principals. And then we have a continuation of that solution-focused approach that will be delivered secondly to our teachers and staff before the end of the school year. And then our character counts guidance lessons are on track at this time for 100% completion by the end of the school year. When we look at 3.2, ensure the disciplinary interventions consistently address the root causes of behavioral issues and staff understand how to implement disciplinary practices in a clear and equitable well-being an equitable way for the well-being of the students. Our focus here is in a highly effective MTSS process that will result in a 5% decrease in placements at the ALC for persistent misbehavior. When we look here at some of the actions that we have taken, assistant principals have been trained on students' behavior improvement intervention plans and to ensure the use of positive behavioral strategies with a focus again at the AP level and at the secondary AP level as well. Campuses have documented at-risk students with multiple discipline infractions, and their progress on their MTSS interventions is also being provided to each student. And then we're continuing to support campuses throughout. What we're also very proud of in this work is that at this time we have in this quarter 824 students that have been assigned to in-school suspension. Last year at this time, before COVID and the shutdown, we had a decrease of 1,196, which is a decrease of 59.2%. And then on out-of-school suspension, OSS, in the third quarter, 632 students, which is a decrease of 473, or if you want to look at the percentage of 42.8. Objective 3.3 is ensuring facility safety remains a priority through up-to-date technology and that all facilities provide a safe, inclusive, effective learning environment for all. The goal here is that campuses will maintain 100% monthly compliance with the updated pandemic safety drill guidance by June of 2021. Key 3 areas where drill schedules and compliance are tracked in the Raptor system. All campuses have completed their annual drill schedules, completed those drill schedules and entered them in the Raptor system at the start of the school year. And we're also very happy to report that all campuses have achieved 100% completion for the updated pandemic safety drills through March of 2020. I will now turn over to Dr. Rockwood.
Thank you, Dr. Mossage. For strategic priority 4, plan for rapid growth while preserving our district culture. If you look at objective 4.1, maintaining a neighborhood and school structure and a unified community feeling during rapid growth. And we talked about a comprehensive overview of our Lamar CISD master plan principles. You may recall that the board reviewed these in October and got a little bit of a history. The discussion there ended with adding a footnote to our current master plan principles. Following that meeting, our policy committee met and had some discussions around the master plan principles and it was decided we can review those again in detail as we approach our next bond cycle, which is scheduled to be in 2023, but before any planning begins on a needs assessment for that bond process. Objective 4.2, actively seek to engage all of our stakeholder groups as community partners as Lamar CISD continues to grow. And the SMART goals will create a web page with information specifically for realtors and developers by June of 2021. So that web page has been created. It's on the Lamar CISD site, currently under the community tab, and hopefully our realtors can look at that for any information relative to our demographic report, new student information, current enrollment, and as we've just launched that, we'll be working with realtors on getting any information they need, again, to share with potential homeowners. As you recall, we are now #1 in housing starts in the state of Texas, so relevant information certainly. Objective 4.3, continue to build and maintain equitable campus buildings and shared district support facilities commensurate with our growth in Lamar CISD. This was a hard stop SMART goal with the November bond election, obviously. As you recall, we did many things to promote that election in November, and it was successful. Props A and D, the largest bond election in LCISD history at $666.8 million. I would point out that during a pandemic, that was an interesting effort. But again, even though 2 props passed and 2 props were unsuccessful, the community did pass 236 out of a total 239 projects for that bond election. Objective 4.4, ensure that budget and staffing plans equitably meet the changing student and staff needs as LCISD continues to grow. And we were planning to partner with TASB to conduct a staffing review study during this school year. That review has been completed, and we have staff in HR and finance currently looking at that as we make plans for the 21-22 school year. And at this point, speaking of staffing, we'll turn it over to Dr. Bowen with a focus on talent.
Thank you, Dr. Good. The first objective was to prioritize compensation and benefits so that we would continue to be competitive in the market and that we would attract employees. One of the first things we did was we sent out some surveys to our current new hires as well as prospective applicants and candidates to see what was incentivizing them. And it was interesting. We had about a 50% response rate to our January survey, and we found 3 key things that they were interested in. First was their great work environment and culture. Second was our compensation and benefits. And third was the meaningful work in making a difference. We'll also launch a survey in June that captures the individuals that we have hired for the upcoming school year, as well as anyone that's applied since that time. Objective 5.2 is to expand access to differentiated professional development and coaching for all staff based on their experience and need. And we really focused on our first-year teachers with this one, with the goal of an 85% retention rate. We surveyed our first-year teachers to find out how their year was going, and we found that 82% said they had a positive experience in the fall semester. 93.4% rated their mentor teachers very highly, and nearly 93% said they would recommend the district as a place to work. Objective 5.3 focuses on career pathways and advancement opportunities for our current leaders. And you've heard us speak frequently of our leadership development program, and our goal is to build a program that promotes from within, that grows and develops and promotes our own. Our target was to fill 75% of our open principal positions for the upcoming school year from our current assistant principal pool. So far, we've had 2 principal positions that have been filled, and both of those were internal candidates, so we're currently at 100%. Objective 5.4 is increasing the awareness of our district as a destination place to live, work, and learn. And we're doing that in conjunction with community relations. And our goal is to increase the subscribership to our monthly external newsletter to 37,000. Current number is at 35,600. Additionally, they are promoting The Link, which is the online newsletter. Questions?
Wow.
Yes, Ms. Kaminsky.
That was just a summary.
Overall,
That was just a summary, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. A lot to absorb.
I know.
It's a lot to absorb.
They're busy.
I'd like to go back to, I think it was priority number 2 under SPED, special ed. On the failures of 59%. I'm not seeing.
2.1 or 2.2?
May have put it down on the wrong.
No, it's one.
Two.
Right here.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there it is. SPED failures have decreased by 59.5. That's great. But my question is, that was in comparison to
The
2019.
quarter, yeah.
Okay. That time that you're talking about is during COVID?
No, it's before the shutdown.
Before
The third quarter was before the shutdown.
Before the shutdown?
Yes,
At that point,
for the most part, yes.
So at that point, we had that record of decrease in failure?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any documentation of how COVID affected the special ed after that?
Well, I think what we're we're currently looking at that when you look at all of our universal screener information and providing tier support to all of our kids, and that would include our special ed kids as well. And so do I have kind of what is the greatest impact currently right now of what that looks like? I can tell you that if we're noticing a backslide and through ARDS, that definitely if there were compensatory services that were offered and all of those types of things that they were. We're not seeing a lot of that drastic drop right now. What we are anticipating, though, is that what we are going to see is a new testing season, obviously, and it will also give us a baseline to be able to predict maybe kind of where they were from a state-level assessment as well, to where we're going to continue to plan going into 21 to 22 specifically for that population.
I mean, it's understandable that,
Yeah.
that for them I was just concerned
Yeah.
that report was including during the COVID time, and I wasn't quite understanding that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for any other, because we don't have any other reports?
Okay, so it is now 8:31 p.m. We are adjourning to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082, the Open Meetings Act, to discuss personnel, land acquisition, or consultation with our attorney. Oh, where's my script? Apologize. Okay, we are now back in open session. It is 8:50 p.m. We have a quorum. Are there any motions to be made?
Oh, that's me, and I don't know what I did with it. Hold on. I don't know what I did.
I'm going to go first.
You go first then. I can't find my piece of paper.
Madam Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of Penva Medlow as the Director of Leadership Development.
Second? Ms. Mincy says seconds. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
All right, none opposed, motion carries.
All right, I found it. It's in the folder where it was supposed to be. Okay, Madam Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve renewal of contracts for professional teachers and support personnel.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Second.
I'm sorry, can I get a
Second.
second? Sorry.
A second.
Trustee Welch, seconds. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Where it was supposed to be.
Any future agenda items? Okay, I have one. Dr. Rockwood. So for Canvas, I know things were very different this year, and I know we had some goals last year, and so I wanted to see if we could get an update kind of on the consistency. I don't remember the exact name. It's been a minute since we went through that on how that process is going. You know, you're with me on that? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any upcoming events or meetings? All right. The meeting is adjourned. It is 8:52 p.m.